The optimism is high in Brackley as we are heading into the third season of this era of ground effect aerodynamic cars, as James Allison, Mercedes tech boss, believes there is still much to discover and improve upon when it comes to the Mercedes Challenger. With Mercedes not winning a race in a season for the first time in more than 10 years, the 2024 season might prove vital, not only for the German manufacturer, but for Hamilton as well, whose future in the sport might not be as long as you'd expect. About to enter its third year under the existing regulations, many people are expecting extremely similar cars this year in an effort to stop Red Bull's pursuit of a third consecutive double title. With all teams having transitioned to the downwash side pod concept, a trend started by Red Bull in 2022, it is very likely that the visual simulates a decisive advantage over rivals. Overseeing the development of an entirely new concept for its W15, Allison remains optimistic about the unexplored roads that could yield a competitive edge and propel the team back to the front of the grid. With the floor the key to the ground effect aerodynamic cars, the aerodynamic philosophy in which the cars stick to the ground to improve grip and cornering speed, the closer a car is to the surface, the better it works. But and has been stressed many times before, and most notably by Red Bull, it's about more than just the floor. The entire package needs to work to create the downforce and grip needed to succeed. Last season, a year in which Mercedes did not win a single race, Lewis Hamilton raved about Max Verstappen's insane rear end, having watched the RB19 stick through the corners, and it has rival teams worried that Red Bull's championship winning streak has only just begun. Already last season, they dropped the Zero Pods for a more Red Bull-esque downwash concept. But while the general belief is that there will be more convergence towards the Red Bull look, Allison is confident there's still scope for innovation. I think most people will be iterating down a similar sort of avenue, he said, as per Motorsport.com. But that doesn't mean that there isn't room for innovation at all. These cars, and it is no secret, run super near the ground, and that's where they get their best performance. But there is also the ground there, so it is just trying to figure out how you can reliably, precisely, and in an informed way place the car at a point above the ground that you know will be survivable from a skid legality point of view, but will also give you every bit of downforce that the car is capable of offering. So there is plenty of action there still. And legality will be a sore point for Mercedes, as last year at the United States Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton was disqualified from the results as his skid block had too much wear on it. Both the Briton and Charles Leclerc were excluded from the results, and for Hamilton that was a P2 when a physical flaw and a plank wear inspection found the latter to be not in compliance with the rules, as they were below the minimum thickness of 9mm. Mercedes cited the sprint format as the reason for this, with the teams given just one practice session in which to find the optimum setup and ride height for the car. The question, I think, is whether or not Hamilton still has the desire to push for a title, because while some question whether Hamilton's talent has been lost, particularly in qualifying, where he once displayed a cutting edge, others argue that he still possesses the skills that made him a qualifying master in seasons like 2018. But is the experienced Brit committed enough and ready to rekindle the fight? With Max Verstappen up for the challenge, no doubt about that. The competition demands not just skill, but also motivation and commitment. While Mercedes does guarantee massive improvements in their W15, especially addressing rear-end issues, the focus will be on Hamilton's motivation and dedication. Despite the team's ambitious goals and Hamilton's expressed desire to secure an 8th world title with Mercedes, it's worth mentioning also that when Toto talked about about wanting to win a title with Hamilton, he doesn't mention Russel here, which is another proof that the team might prioritise the 7-time world champion if push comes to shove. But look, both Lewis and George have their responsibilities during this winter period, and there are reports that Hamilton has been actively engaging in multiple meetings with the team, staying informed about the progress and advocating for certain directions. On the other hand, Russell may have been involved in fewer discussions, but has been seen contributing to the team's efforts by working in the simulator recently, and as the season approaches, the focus for both drivers is not only on their physical fitness, but also on ensuring they are mentally prepared for the challenges ahead. It does indeed seem like Hamilton is ready this season to take the fight to Verstappen, but what if nothing comes of it and we see another dominant Red Bull season? As the 7-time world champion is entering a crucial season for his career, he hasn't ruled out taking a sabbatical in the future. This will be huge news for Mercedes, and not only that, but this adds another layer of importance for the next 2 seasons, as having failed to produce championship contending machinery in the last 2 years, time is running out. At least on paper, this is what the situation might seem like. Whilst still performing at a high level, the 39-year-old has always been open about his vision for life post F1. However, in a recent interview, Hamilton has revealed another option that he considers plausible. "I never said that an 8th title would be the end point, and I don't know what follows after driving in Formula 1. I don't necessarily feel the desire to remain active in Formula 1 after, but as I said before, never say never. I can't imagine not driving anymore and being in a pit box somewhere. I would probably think I could stick with it for another year, then I can still compete. So it would probably be better to take a sabbatical and then see if I would still like to come back." Hamilton also referenced Fernando Alonso and Michael Schumacher, 2 F1 champions who returned to the grid after time away, as examples of the potential utility of sabbaticals. With that being said, predicting the future beyond 2025 seems pretty difficult because, to a large extent, the driver market will be dictated by team performance. For the likes of Charles Leclerc or Lando Norris, who've both signed new contracts at their respective teams, there is less urgency. But for Hamilton and Alonso, both in the latter stages of their career, waiting several years for a competitive car is just not an option. For Toto Wolff and James Allison's personnel, the next few months will indicate if they can compete for wins before the 2026 regulation changes. But Alpine's director Matt Harmon talked about how copying other cars will not lead you to victory, and I have to agree, because Mercedes of course tried to innovate with their zero-pod concept, but in the end they just made a switch for another concept. They didn't gain much in terms of performance for the time they ran the different idea, and the W15 probably is getting all the knowledge that should have been added in the W14 Spec B. So whatever Mercedes do, while yeah, it's okay to get a general idea from Red Bull, because at the end of the day, that's the team that got it right in this era, you do have to create, and as Allison put it, innovate your own idea that will make your car unique and win in that way. Mercedes need a good season in 2024 because for Hamilton, there won't be many more chances to win that last title he needs to break the record. With many teams improving, including McLaren, who even have new facilities and a duo of talented drivers, every bit of opportunity that presents itself for the Brackley team needs to be utilised to the maximum, and only then might results come for Mercedes. If not, then we might as well have seen the last of Hamilton in the sport, as it's increasingly likely that he will, using football terminology, hang his wheel. And if he does that once, there's no guarantee he'll return like Alonso did. Let us know your thoughts. Do you think that Mercedes will bounce back, and will Hamilton have that chance to win the 8th title? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.